Michael Jordan is widely considered the best basketball player of all time. He came into the NBA in 1984 and very soon changed the game of basketball, making the NBA the most popular sports league worldwide. MJ was a fierce competitor who won everything, mostly the respect not just of his teammates, but even those who hated him. Jordan led the Chicago Bulls to 6 NBA championships, winning the NBA Finals MVP in each of those runs. He has won the regular season MVP award 5 times and has led the league in scoring a record 10 times. He has played in 14 All-Star games, 10 times has been selected in the All-NBA First Team, 9 times in the All-Defensive First Team, and has won the Defensive Player of the Year award in 1988. Jordan had a versatile offensive game and was capable of aggressively driving to the basket as well as drawing fouls from his opponents at a high rate. His flying abilities were one of a kind at the time, and by this day, Jordan has one of the highest verticals ever seen by any player. So, before we dive deeper into Jordan's accomplishments and the impact he had on the game, let's look back on his childhood. Jordan was born on February 19, 1963, in New York City to his mother, Dolores, and father, James. Michael has 2 brothers, James and Larry, and 2 sisters, Dolores and Roslyn. The Jordan family lived in Wilmington, North Carolina, where Jordan played all the sports growing up. He was regularly beaten up on the basketball court by his older brother, Larry, which, as Michael says, has made him the competitor he later was. Going into high school, Jordan played basketball, baseball, and football. In his sophomore year, he tried to make the school varsity team, but as Jordan was only 6 feet tall, the coach picked a guy named Leroy Smith over him. Decades later, Smith was one of Jordan's guests when he was inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. That lit the fire in Jordan, and he was ready to prove to everybody that he could play ball. After growing 4 inches, Jordan made the team in his junior year and averaged more than 25 points per game. In his senior year, Jordan was selected to play in the 1981 McDonald's All-American game, where he dropped 30 and caught the eyes of many Division I colleges. He chose to go to North Carolina and play for head coach Dean Smith. In his freshman year with the Tar Heels, Jordan was named ACC Freshman of the Year after he averaged 13.4 points per game on 53.4% shooting from the field. In the NCAA championship game, Jordan made the game-winning shot against Georgetown, which he said was the turning point in his career. He stayed in college for 3 seasons before declaring for the NBA draft. Jordan was selected as the 3rd overall pick by the Chicago Bulls at the 1984 NBA draft after the Houston Rockets picked Akeem Olajuwon and the Portland Trail Blazers took Sam Bowie. At the time, the Bulls were not a popular franchise, barely selling 3,000 tickets per game. With Jordan's arrival, things changed, not just for the Bulls, but for the entire league. He needed 3 games in his rookie season to take over the Bulls as the best player on the team. He started all 82 games averaging 28.2 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 5.9 assists per game to win the Rookie of the Year award. His first and luckily only major injury came in his sophomore season when MJ broke his foot and played a total of 18 games. He returned just in time for the playoffs as the Bulls were set to take on the Boston Celtics. The Bulls were swept by the Celtics in the opening round, but that series brought one of Jordan's best performances ever. In Game 2 of the series, Jordan set the record for the most points scored in an NBA playoff game when he dropped 63 on Larry Bird and the Boston Celtics. Jordan delivered an outstanding performance that Celtics superstar Larry Bird thought came from heaven. Although the Celtics won in double overtime, 135-131, Bird afterwards said it was God disguised as Michael Jordan today. Jordan made 22 of his 41 shots and went 19 of 21 from the free throw line, also adding 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. That still stands as the NBA record for the most points scored in a single NBA playoff game. After coming back from that injury, Jordan did not miss more than 4 games while active from 1986 to 87 to 2001 to 2, when he injured his right knee. Of the 15 seasons Jordan was in the NBA, he played all 82 regular season games 9 times, which speaks about his durability and toughness. The following 1986 to 87 season, Jordan won his first scoring title, averaging 37.1 points per game, and was named to the All-NBA First Team for the first time in his career. However, the Bulls were swept by the Celtics in the opening round once again. In the offseason, the Bulls made a trade on draft night, landing the number 5 pick of the 1987 NBA draft, Scottie Pippen. He will become a vital figure for the Bulls who would help Jordan win. It still took time for them to do so, as they will lose to the Detroit Pistons in 3 consecutive playoffs. Those were the toughest years for Jordan, who looked like the best player in the league, but could be given the credit as the one since he could not lead the Bulls to the championship. Their time finally came in the 1990-91 season when they swept the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals. That was the first Bulls appearance in the NBA Finals, and they made it count after beating the Los Angeles Lakers in 5 games. Jordan averaged 31.2 points, 11.4 assists, 6.6 rebounds, and 2.8 steals in the final series. That was just the beginning of the Bulls dynasty, who would go on to beat the Portland Trailblazers in the 1992 NBA Finals and the Phoenix Suns the following year. Jordan was on top of the world at the age of 30, but then he shocked the world. On October 6, 1993, MJ called a press conference to announce his retirement at the age of 30. He completely dominated the league at the time, and no one could really understand why he would retire when he was in his prime, on top of the league with many seasons left in the tank. When I lose the sense of motivation and the sense of to prove something as a basketball player, it's time for me to move away. It's not because I don't love the game. I always will. I just feel that I have reached the pinnacle of my career, was his explanation. There were many rumors about the real reason for his retirement. Some thought that he was simply tired of all the pressure. Some thought it had a lot to do with his father's recent that, but there were also those who saw a secret suspension in his act. The real truth is still unknown. MJ went on to play baseball and left basketball fans to hope for his return. A year and a half later, he was back. Late in the 1994-95 season, Jordan returned to the Bulls, and in his second game back, MJ dropped 55 points against the New York Knicks at the Madison Square Garden. The Bulls lost to the Orlando Magic in that playoffs, but MJ knew they would be back on top. Going into the 1995-96 season, the Bulls added Dennis Rodman to the roster, and Jordan led them to the best regular season record in the league's history, with 72 wins and 10 losses. The Bulls lost only 1 game to make it to the NBA Finals, where they defeated the Seattle Supersonics in 6 games. They did not stop there and were back in the finals the following season as well, this time facing the Utah Jazz. Karl Malone and John Stockton were the leaders of the Jazz team, and they proved to be a tough opponent. Going into Game 5 of the series with the score being tied at 2 games apiece, Jordan got food poisoning the night before the game. He was questionable for Game 5, but being the winner that he is, he showed up ready. It was evident that he was sick, but that did not stop him from putting on an epic performance. That game is widely known as the Michael Jordan flu game. At the beginning of the game, Jordan appeared weak and out of place, allowing the Jazz to build a 16-point lead in the first quarter. Then, Jordan began showing flashes of his normal self, exploding for 17 points in the second quarter alone. As sick as Jordan was, however, it didn't keep him from balling out. In Chicago's 90-88 win, Jordan recorded an unbelievable 38 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block, including a 3-pointer with less than a minute left that gave the Bulls a lead they did not relinquish. They closed out the series at home and won their 5th NBA championship. Going into 1997-98, there was a lot of uncertainty surrounding the Bulls, but the team management decided to go for another championship. Jordan clearly stated that it will be his last season, and he is not willing to play for another coach than Phil Jackson. The Bulls made it to the finals and ran into the Jazz again. They went to Utah for Game 6, having a 3-2 lead. The Jazz were up by 3 with just over 40 seconds to go when MJ went to work. After making a quick layup, he stole the ball from Malone on the defensive end. What was about to happen will go in the books as one of the most epic moments in NBA history. With 5 seconds left on the clock, Jordan hit the game winner, winning the 6th NBA championship. The basketball fans around the world were hoping that he and the Bulls would be back for another season, but that was the last dance. Jordan retired and soon later became a part owner and president of basketball operations for the Washington Wizards. Being the competitor that he is, in 2001, at the age of 38, he laced them up again. Jordan sold his part of the Wizards' ownership and signed a deal with the team. He played 2 seasons in DC, averaging 22.9 points per game in the 2001-2 season and 20 per game in his last one. That was definitely the end of his basketball career at the age of 39. Jordan left the game as the best player ever, and even though many are considering LeBron James as the one, there are many facts that go in MJ's favor. When it comes to Jordan's individual stats, it is hard to find any player who comes even close to his accomplishments. What makes him stand above everyone else is that he was dominant on both ends of the floor. But let's start with his offense. In the 1,072 regular season games that MJ played, he scored 32,292 points, or 30.1 points per game, which is the highest career point average of all time. He scored over 30 points in 563 games in his career, which is also an NBA record. He is the third fastest player to score 25,000 points, which he did in 782 games, and 30,000 points in 960 games. Jordan was even better when playoff time came, as he averaged 33.4 points per game in the playoffs, which is also an NBA record, just as his 33.6 points per game in the final series. On the road to winning 6 NBA championships, Jordan became the player who scored the most points in the playoffs, 5,987, later surpassed by LeBron James. Jordan has played a total of 35 NBA Finals games, and in none of them has scored less than 20 points. As a matter of fact, in one span, he had 60 consecutive playoff games with at least 20 points. MJ averaged more than 30 points per game in 8 regular seasons and 12 playoffs. He has had 8 playoff games scoring 50-plus points and 38 games scoring 40-plus points. MJ had 5 playoffs, averaging more than 40 points per game, and averaged a finals record of 41 points per game against the Phoenix Suns in 1993. In his career, Jordan won 10 scoring titles, a record that will never be reached. Wilt Chamberlain is the closest to him on that list, with 7. MJ never came close to Chamberlain's single-game scoring record of 100 points, as his record is 69. Jordan had his career night in 1990 in a 117-113 win against the Cleveland Cavaliers when he shot 23 of 37 from the field and 21 of 23 from the free throw line. But Jordan was not just a regular scorer, he was the best when it counts the most, and that is the clutch time. No player in the league's history has hit more game-winning shots. Most of the NBA fans have been aware of Michael Jordan's offensive skill set, but not many know that he was a beast on the defensive end as well. Michael Jordan was the first player in NBA history to be selected for 9 All-NBA first defensive teams. Gary Payton, Kobe Bryant, and Kevin Garnett did the same later, but MJ was the first one to do that. In the 1987-88 season, Jordan won the Defensive Player of the Year award. To make his season even more impressive, he won the MVP award and the scoring title that season as well, becoming the first player and still the only one to win the 3 awards in the same season. And he was only 25 years old back then. Jordan has led the NBA in steals in 3 seasons and is the first player in the league's history to record at least 200 steals and 100 blocks in a single season. Michael Jordan is the player who has won the most trophies in the history of the NBA, 22. MJ is ahead of the likes of Bill Russell, who has 17 trophies, including a record 11 NBA titles, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who has 15 trophies. Jordan's supremely impressive haul of trophies includes 6 NBA titles, 6 NBA Finals MVPs, 5 regular season MVPs, 3 All-Star Game MVPs, a Defensive Player of the Year award, and a Rookie of the Year award. Jordan also had an impressive international career as well as a collegiate. He is one of only 7 players to win an NCAA championship, an NBA championship, and an Olympic gold medal. Certainly, in USA basketball history, he ranks among the elite. He played on 7 USA basketball teams and compiled an overall win-loss record of 39-4 or 907 winning percentage. He won 4 gold medals and 1 silver medal. He led the last Olympic gold medal winning team, comprised of collegians, in 1984 in Los Angeles. And then in 1992 was a member of the Dream Team that won the gold in Barcelona. In major FIBA and FIBA Americas competitions, he led USA teams to a shiny 30-0 record while claiming 4 gold medals. Jordan wore number 9 while playing for Team USA. Jordan was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame twice, once as an individual player in 2009 and as a member of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team in 2010. He was also inducted into the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Hall of Fame as a member of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team. These numbers and accomplishments put Jordan above anyone else in the history of the game. Jordan was not loved by everybody, but was respected even by those who hated him. No one has matched his competitiveness, winning mentality, and killer instinct. Jordan will forever be the player that everyone looks up to, but none will ever match his greatness. MJ transferred his success from the basketball court to the business. He is the first athlete ever to become a billionaire, having many successful businesses that bring him millions of dollars yearly. As a matter of fact, MJ now earns more in a year than in his entire basketball career.